Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Active Love Adoptions podcast. I'm Alyssa, joined by my mom, Heidi, and we are here with Melissa, who is an adoptive mom, and she is with Give Hope RV and doing a whole bunch of amazing things that she has been so kind to share with us today.
Yes.
Thank you so much for coming.
Yes. Yeah. Thank you for making time in your busy schedule.
Yeah.
Be here.
So we did talk a little bit before, and I'm going to have to make you talk about it again. But if you want to start with your adoption journeys, and I don't know if that's what got you into starting your organization, whatever you want to tell us, we're here to listen.
So it is what got us to move into starting our nonprofit. And so we'll start there. We have 4 biological children. And then we started the adoption process for our first son, trying to think, probably in 2013. And he was an international adoption from China. We originally started in a different international country program that had a lot of changes in the time that our information was there. And so we opted to switch countries when everything had to update. And so we updated and switched countries to something that was at that time a lot more secure. And so we submitted all of our paperwork in February, and then we were matched with him in April. We traveled in July to China to bring him home. And that would have been in 2016. He was 2 years, 9 months, and he just had some surgical medical needs that we had to take care of when we came home. China, at the time that it was open, everything was medical or special needs adoptions. And so he just needed a few corrective surgeries, but he is a thriving 11-year-old boy who is so deep in my heart. I am his favorite person in the world.
Good.
Will proudly say that to anybody. And they'll say,
that.
My mom is my favorite. And so we have a wonderful relationship. He has a great relationship with his dad too, but he's very open. I love that he is the type of kid that really he doesn't really have much of a filter. So if he's not liking something, or he does really like something, or he wants to do something or doesn't want to do something, you'll know exactly where you stand with both. So
that makes sense, I mean, easier to a degree.
A little easier.
He's not. Sometimes you're like, that was rude.
Okay.
But not always. He's getting better.
Yeah.
But he's wonderful, very active, tons of friends. We have 2 girls, a boy and a girl biologically, and our son, who is 15, and Bo, who is 11, they're like the best of friends in the whole world. And it's funny because Eli will go off doing something with his buddies and Bo will tag along. And his buddies have friends that are Bo's age, but none of their brothers get to tag along. But all of the friends ask if Bo is coming. And you're like,
so cute.
He's a free pass, like every time. And he's welcomed and invited. And Eli goes, because it's Bo. Everybody loves Bo. And I'm like,
everybody loves them. That's great, though.
There you go.
Yeah.
We live in a very small farming community. We actually just got our very first red light last year. And so it's very well, it's little, but it's very expansive because it's farm country. But anywhere we go, people say, hey Bo, hey Bo, hey Bo, hey Bo. I mean, everyone knows. So he was our first adoption. We came home with him in July. And international adoption suggests that you cocoon and stay home and don't go very far from your home, just to like adapt, adjust, all of those things, which I totally understand and can respect. That sounded like a horrible idea to me, though. I was like, that sounds like a terrible idea. It's summertime. I have 4 other children. They don't want to sit at home. So we went camping a whole lot. And it was a beautiful thing for our family to be able to just spend time together. Camping allows you to like get out of the house, but still be
They'll be
connected
together.
together. Yeah. Be around people, but nobody's actually wanting to take care of more children while they're camping. So they're not like bringing your kids in. You still get to do all the things with your kids. So it was wonderful for us. He came home the very beginning of August, and that very next February, we started the adoption process for our daughter, Gertie. Gertie's also adopted from China. She does have Down syndrome, and we went into it purposefully asking to adopt a child with Down syndrome. People still ask us to this day, did you know she had Down syndrome when you went and got her? And I was like, yes, the whole process, people. Like, there's a whole lot that goes into it. It just wasn't like a magical straw we picked when we got there.
So what made you seek out a Down syndrome? Do you have someone in your family or friends, or just that's where your heart was drawn that your next child was going to have Down syndrome?
Sure, fair question. I do have a cousin that has Down syndrome. My aunt and uncle had 3 children. Then there's a large gap between their first 3 and then their son, who was born with Down syndrome. And then they immediately, like a year and a half later, had another daughter, who is my oldest daughter's age. And so they would go on spring break and that kind of a thing. And they always looked for a place for their younger 2 so they could enjoy time with their older 3.
Yeah.
And my husband and I ended up being that landing spot regularly because at the time we had our oldest 2 kids and their youngest and our oldest was the same age, and Charlie was cognitively there for sure, if not a little younger. And it was so easy. Like he's ship. It's my husband.
Okay, your face froze. I can hear you now, but
we're having some technical difficulties on our end.
Or hers. Can you still hear us?
First, before we like step into something with more like a child with more needs. And I would say that, I mean, both medical condition is much more complex than Gertie's Down syndrome diagnosis. And so while he doesn't have the need for any more future surgeries, his condition when he came home was much more medically complex than Gertie is with a Down syndrome diagnosis. And so that was partly there. When we went and got Bo, our whole travel group with the agency that we were working with was all but one was adopting from the same orphanage. So they actually took us directly to the orphanage, which never happens. And you really got to see everything then. It wasn't like it wasn't just like a hotel lobby. You really just got to see the ins and the outs of the place and space where our son was from, but it also exposed us to everybody else that was there. And in that very moment, as we were waiting for Bo to come out to us in the lobby, there was like 25 teens with significant special needs that walked through the lobby area. And in that moment, both my husband and I felt the Holy Spirit say to us, "You'll be back and you'll be adopting a child with special needs for sure."
Yeah.
And so we had talked to our caseworker, I think at our 4-week post-adopt visit, that we were like, we're doing this again, just so you know, when do we get to start? Can we start now? Can we not start now? And she's like, you have to wait 6 months. I was like, that's a stupid rule. And so we did, but she immediately handed us Gertie's file. We had been in a lot of communication saying
she knew what you were looking for and stuff, so she probably for you. Okay.
Yes. And so we did not specify gender when we adopted Bo, but when we adopted Gertie, we did specify gender, just simply because we only have so many bedrooms in our home, and our youngest biological daughter did not have, we call it a sweet mate. And so she needed a buddy. And so it had to be a female.
A girl.
Yeah, had a girl. So we started in February, her adoption, and traveled in October. And
how old did you say Gertie was?
She was 3 when we adopted her. Her 3rd birthday was 3 days after we came home. So she was 3. And she is from Shanghai, China. And so we traveled over there. We took our oldest daughter with us and really it was also got to go to the orphanage, visit her nannies. She was very loved, very well cared for, which was not evident in the other families that went and brought their children home as well. When our travel group, we had a large adoption group that adopted children from Shanghai. And as we toured the orphanage, kind of on our exit out of the city, many families, it just really wasn't, you could tell there was no nanny connection with their children or anything like that. But when we went, Gertie was the last stop of a room to visit. And there was easily 12 to 15 nannies waiting to say goodbye to her. And they were gracious. I was originally like, no one can hold her again. Like, she's mine. They took her straight out of my arm and like chatted with her and loved on her. And the one thing I regret is I never got to like we never made it into the room. There were too many people that were knocking the door wanting to say goodbye to her. So I don't have any like room pictures of where she lived for the first 3 years of her life or anything like that. Yeah. I have pictures of great love, and that I will cherish.
That's important. That's an important part, that she was
more than a steel bed, I guess.
Yes.
Yeah.
In a plain white room, which is probably what it was. So,
but yeah.
Okay. So, and then you adopted one more, right? You have 3? Okay.
Yes. So that was just this last October. My husband and I have been foster parents here in the Michigan foster care system for, I would say, 5-ish years. We did not enter foster care with the goal of adoption. It was just to give kids a safe place to land for a season, not permanency at all. And we had a sibling pair, a couple of, it was a large sibling group. We were able to bring in 2. So we had them first. Then we had a teen placement that came to us, and she stayed with us for about 8 months until she moved on to a new home. And then we had another teen mom placement after that. We took a bit of a break for probably about 3 to 4 months after the first teen left. It was a very tumultuous placement. And then we had a teen mom for, I would say, about 6 to 8 weeks. We were not in her county of which she was from. And so they were actively looking for a new home for her to be in. But again, I would say it was 10 times more tumultuous than our first 8 months. So I won't go into a lot of details, but it was not well. No one in our home was well, including her. And so that's not healthy for anybody involved. And so she left, and then we took a much longer break. And as I was calling our caseworker to kind of say, okay, I think we're willing to like open our home again. She said, would you ever consider an adoption instead? And I was like, no. And she goes, okay. And my husband, you have to understand though, my husband is the one that actually pursued both of the other adoptions. It was not me. Which I know in the adoption community is completely unheard of.
Yeah, for me, my husband wasn't. I did everything, and he just signed the papers.
Well, Dave just signed the papers too. I still did everything.
Oh, okay.
But it was all his idea. It was him saying, I think this is what we need to do. I think this is what the Lord's calling for our family. I think this is where we need to press into. I think like all of these like Holy Spirit movements in his heart is where I just submitted and obeyed and followed his leading, because when the Holy Spirit moves, who am I to say, no, I don't want him to work in your life. Like that doesn't work. So he was sitting there with me when we were on the call, though she was not on speaker, but he could definitely tell there was like some major conversation going on. And I was like, get off the phone. And he goes, what was that about? And I was like, well, she asked if we would consider an adoption. And I said no. And he goes, why did you say no? And I was like, because we are not adopting again. And we're not. And he's like, I don't think you've prayed about that. And I was like, I don't think you should talk to me like that. And so for about 8 weeks, I prayed about it. And the Holy Spirit just continued to soften my heart and say, this very sweet and kind 9-year-old boy needs a place to live and a family that will love him and wrap their arms around him. And it's not for like lack of familial support in our network. We have the best familial support that is literally, I'm sure behind closed doors, they're like, Dave and Melissa are nuts. Like, no more. What are they doing? But to our faces and to all of our children, they love them deeply and would never consider them to be other than family. And so 8 weeks, I prayed about it, and Lord really just softened my heart in that way. I would say it has been a work in progress. He moved in February, and he is very kind and really just wants to be a part of a family. He turned 10 while he was here. So when we adopted him just after his 10th birthday, a couple months after his 10th birthday, or no, a couple weeks after his 10th birthday. And he is wonderful. There are just some like personality differences, but I have personality differences with my biological daughter. So it is not about him, or like, I know there's trauma, but like there's also like things that just come into play. But he literally is just wonderful. He's helpful and kind and diligent. And
so did you foster him at all before you adopted? You just went for adoption?
Yeah.
So you didn't have that getting to know him period. Did they do that with you?
They did in some capacity. So in that 8 weeks, I think he was over to our house once or twice. And just to like play, because he's only a year younger than Bo. And so it was like, hey, we're just having a play date. This family does foster care, and they're just, and because we had done foster care, it was easy to say, they just maybe want a break and just time with their children. And they were like, oh, sure, no problem. And he was being fostered in our community. So, and he really wanted to stay in the community where he was at. And so, we had him over a few times and then met with the foster family and that kind of a thing. It turns out my husband and him graduated together. So just kind of some connections that way. He moved in February, and then we became his foster parents and really just kind of settled in to trying just to get to know each other and acclimate. But you just knew all he wanted was family. He just wanted permanency and a family, and he is determined to make it work. And that, I think,
he doesn't want to move around.
No, not at all. And I think that is like the thing that works. I mean, we can as parents do all we can do, but if there's no desire to make it work,
then it
ain't working.
No.
And I think that's exactly what we saw with, for sure, our first teen placement. Like,
I don't know if it freezes on her end or just ours.
I don't know.
Back here. And we would say yes to her for short periods of time. I could never say, like, for your whole Christmas break, you can come here. It wouldn't be a healthy home environment. We're here to support her, but we kind of need to support from a distance because she just has to make adult choices now at this point.
And which one is that one with?
Because she was just a foster child of ours. She was in high school.
You still have contact with her?
Yeah, we still have contact with her. Well, at least we did. I haven't heard from her in a few months. Though I reach out, she just doesn't respond back, and that's okay. She's an adult and she gets to make that choice. But I'll try and keep that door, I would say, cracked open.
Just that she knows that there's someone that does care about her if needed. Right. Okay. That's great.
That's our 3 adoptions. That's our story, and that's kind of brings us to where we are today.
Yes. And so then now you did, I'm assuming you started this nonprofit because of the camping, because when you first came home and you took your son camping and you guys were able to bond as a family. So is that kind of where it came from?
Yes, it's entirely where it came from. So we camped a ton with him, and then Gertie came home in the fall. So there really wasn't a lot of camping. And in that off season, winter, fall, Bo had 2 surgeries again. And then just figuring out where Gertie was medically for that like 6 months was, I lived in my car and we lived at the doctor's office between the two of them. And it came around to late spring and we started camping again. There's a campground just about 10 minutes south of our home. And my parents have a seasonal lot there. It's actually a campground that I grew up at. My family managed it for 10 years growing up. And so we would go there all the time. And it was in those like evening walks of pushing Gertie in the stroller and just kind of keeping eyes on our kids because it's small enough to where you can just kind of let them run, but big enough to where you're not like on top of everybody. And so we would be walking around and my husband just said, I think this is entirely what we need to offer to other families because it's been such a gift to us. And the gift came from my parents. And so really just to copy paste and offer that gift to other people, the same gift that we were given so generously and graciously. My parents just lovingly just said, you can use it anytime you want to. You don't have to ask us, just come and use it. I have 2 other siblings and they were given the same opportunity. We just are the ones that really probably took advantage of it the most.
I think I would too.
Yeah,
I mean,
definitely.
if you have a place that you can go and you don't have to think about
why
it,
not?
that's amazing.
Yeah.
So, and it is because usually when you're going camping, you don't have a lot of the outside world. It's mostly just you focused on your family, right? So
yeah, you're not playing in the camper. You're like at the playground, fishing, swimming, riding a bike, playing volleyball, visiting the animals, getting ice cream at the store, sitting around the campfire. So there's no like technology distractions or anything like that. The service out there isn't all that great either, so it kind of helps keep you.
But that's a bonus. That's a bonus, though, right?
It is. It is.
Everybody else.
Yeah. Yeah.
Bonus. So, okay, so that's why you started it. So how did you even begin, though, to contact the different places for camping, and how did you get the word out for people to know about your program?
Sure. So it started much smaller than it is today. We bought a seasonal lot at that very same campground, came up for sale with the camper. And we ended up purchasing that unit personally. My husband and I purchased it. We hosted 18 families that season, that very first season. We asked for a lot of donations just from friends and family, just to kind of, and people, social media really is a beautiful thing in many ways. And our goal was to have it completely stacked so that all you have to pack is food, clothes, toiletries, and towels. Like that's it. Everything else will be provided for you. And so Amazon just like lived at our house. We would get the big crates of like things. They wouldn't even unpack them. The whole unit crate would just come sit on my door, and then I'd set it out there for them to come grab the next time they were there. And so they really we had a ton of donations that were just given personally by people that were just generous and kind. And so we served out of that one unit for the first 3 or 4 years, because our first season was 2018. And then we were given a camper by a local adoptive family that was just kind of like, we're done camping and we'd like to donate it to you guys.
That's great.
That's perfect.
I know, right? And so they're like, don't tell anybody our name. So that their name is still just locked behind my little lip. And they just are very kind, generous people. And so we got that unit and put it on in a different campground that was kind of local to us, not terribly far, but it was a kind of a startup campground. So they were looking for, I think, really just anybody to come and fill the spot.
Which was perfect for you guys then. Probably. Yeah.
And so we, as a ministry, we do pay for all of our like lot expenses and that kind of a thing. We do respect the fact that they're running a business.
Yeah.
And they could fill the spot with anybody else they wanted to.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
so we were given that camper, and then another unit in the same park where the first one was came up for sale. And we ended up purchasing that one as well the same year. So we went from 1 unit to 3 units
In a
in one
year.
season.
Awesome.
But each season we can host 35 to 40 families each season in each unit. And so
That's a lot.
at that point, we kind of had shifted around how we were bringing people in, more or less like the logistics of it. The first year, it was just like, hey, I know you fostered or adopted. Do you want to stay? Like, just contact me. The next year, we shifted to more of like systematic reservations. So people come in on a Friday, check out on Sunday. They can come in on Monday, check out on Thursday. Still the same system we use today. But we had worked with another local foster adoptive support community in the area. And they're like, let us help you advertise for it. We can set up like basically a reservation claiming system, etc. So we had done a little advertisement just on Facebook and through like some emails through them. And the day we opened it up, it like crashed the whole website.
Wow.
And I was like, oh my God.
There's so many people that want to take advantage.
And so they're like, hold up. So then it was kind of complicated because multiple people had secured the same date, and you're like,
Gosh.
That's a mess.
So then the following year, we moved to the system that we still use today, which you register between May or January 1 and May 1, or March 1, I'm sorry. January 1st and March 1st, you fill out a registration form online. It is very simple. We still operate on the honor system because I don't have time to touch base with hundreds of people's agencies.
There's no way.
Yeah.
And so it's literally your name, address, phone number, email. What agency do you work with? How many people are in your family? Do you need to be hosted, or do you have your own unit? That's about it. Like, it's not a lot. It would take you 35 seconds to fill it out. I mean, because it's probably most of it's autofill. And that's still the system we use today. This year we had almost 800 families registered from 29 different states. And we now do have 4 units that are at 2 different campgrounds. One is in the one that we still have. So we have 2 units about 10 minutes from our home. And then we have 2 units in Ludington, Michigan, which is northwest Michigan, right? It's only a 5-minute drive to Lake Michigan. It is a wonderful family campground, a little bit bigger than the one that's by us. But still just a campground that loves families and loves people, and they're wonderful. They actually reached out to us and said, we would like to have you have campers here. We want you.
That's awesome. That's amazing.
It's very encouraging. It's amazing how many campgrounds you do contact, and they're like, we don't want that kind of a unit here in our seasonal section. And I get it, because it's very fluid. It's not,
you don't know what you're going to get, honestly. So,
and you're not always like, a lot of times they want like seasonal community, and you can't do that with our units. So we are actively working to grow to 2 more units over the next 2 years. So to have 6 total units by our 10th year of being open. And it's moving.
It's amazing how many families you can help with those 4 units, how many you see in a season. I mean, now, are these families from all over the United States then, or are they mostly in Michigan?
All over. I would say predominantly, because it's short stays. It's not like a week. So predominantly we're working with families from Wisconsin, Illinois, Indiana, Ohio, I would say. Sometimes Kentucky or Tennessee, maybe, if you know that they're going to drive up. So that's where working with campgrounds that will partner with us to give certificates has been very helpful. In some regard, it allows us to serve more families that already have a unit. And a lot of them are starting to offer us a cabin stay, or maybe they have an RV on site that they rent out to serve families already, just that are willing to pay for it. They give us stays there. We've started partnering with RV rental places and pairing them with certificates that are donated so that we can just say, you've gotten the certificate that gives you free camping and a free RV rental. They're then responsible to call both places, marry dates, and work it all out.
Yeah.
But they're given a hosting place. Out of the almost 800 people that registered, I would say 80% of them needed to be hosted. Yeah. So it's a large majority of families that need hosting ability versus are able to take advantage of certificates. And so that's something that like we're just actively working as an organization to continue to grow our capacity and to grow our abilities to serve more people each season. And so it's been wonderful.
So is that still how you advertise? It's mostly on Facebook and then with the other organizations. That's where people find out about you.
That's it. We have an email that we send out sometimes, but it is by no means regular. And just our personal Facebook page, that's really where most people find out. I had done some advertisement in like various Facebook groups and stuff like that. It's a lot to keep up on. And
yeah, it is. Yeah.
I'm just one person.
With 7 children and 2 jobs.
Yeah. Yeah. So it's not really something I'm putting a lot of effort in the coming seasons because I'd rather put my effort into being able to connect with campgrounds to host more people than to advertise. We don't need the advertisement at this stage in the game.
It doesn't sound like it.
No, it sounds like you're doing great.
I'll be turning away 400 or 500 families this year. So we don't need to.
So is it first come, first serve? Is that basically the first 800 are the ones that will get to go and anything after a certain point, or because
after last year, after March 1st, we offered a cancellation list. Like, so if we had a cancellation come up, then people would be notified. We're not doing a cancellation list this year simply because our list is so long already. Yeah. But so everybody's name goes into a Google sheet. I just randomize the range, and then we just start at the top and move our way down. And they get emails in batches of 25 families at a time, and I send them booking links that they can use. Because nothing's on public sites or anything like that. So some of them need like password protection. Some of them need, because we want our registered families to use them. I don't want just a random grouping of people that found us and now they're starting to just book us. Because I get calls regularly asking if I have openings at my campground because people Google search campgrounds. I'm not a campground. I'm a facility. And so we really just, I don't have any openings. I always just say, I don't have any openings at this time. Thank you. I guess it's kind of a lot to explain. But yeah, so we will, and then they choose to claim anything in the link or not. So right now, I think we're pretty well full for the whole season based on sending emails, but half of the people I've sent an email to saying they can claim a spot have not redeemed anything. So I don't know if they just missed the email or what, but that happens. And then as cancellations come up, because we do fill the entire season right now. So through September, life happens and some people can't come. And so then we'll send cancellations out, and that is a first come, first serve. I don't draw out of a hat or anything like that. It's simply just first. We have a cancellation link. Gets it. Mm-hmm. And that usually is gone in about 30 seconds of me sending it. I will get a confirmation link saying that it was booked by this family, and then I just send them all the information they know, and they come and go camping. So yeah.
Do you have people come back each year, or is it you can come once for free and that's it? Or do you have any rules like that?
We don't, not at this point. It's been discussed, but at this point we want to keep it just totally luck of the draw. We can't charge anyone to stay with us. It goes against seasonal contract of we can't sublet our units. So both campgrounds we work with don't allow subletting. And so we can't charge anything except for a cleaning fee. They both have allowed us to ask for a cleaning fee. This is the first year we're doing that. Outside of that, it's been completely free for them to come. but it's a non-refundable cleaning fee of a whole $35. But I don't think that's too much to ask.
I don't think you can get anyone to do it for $35. I don't know how.
I got two beautiful women that are coming in clean for us every Friday and every Monday. So
yeah. Oh, that's great. That's great.
Yeah, it's great.
It's amazing what you've accomplished.
It's really just a blessing to be able to serve families and to really see the impact that Give Hope has made on them as a whole. We request that upon exit, they fill out a couple of thank you cards that we send over to like our donors and volunteers. And
yeah, of course.
It's not for us. I've kept like 3 or 4 over all the years. And that's about it. But it has been something that we consistently are able to get rid of all of them every season, thanks to donorship and people that come and help and serve. And it's just been wonderful for us to be able to pass on the thanks, but I do read them all prior to sending them out. And it's just beautiful to watch and see the impact that it is making on families that have not vacationed in 5+ years, that kids have never gone on vacation, or they've never gone camping. I mean, some of them are my favorite are the ones that the kids fill out. And it's like, this was so fun. I caught a 10-inch bass. Thanks.
Oh, cute.
Whoever it is, but like, they've never done that before. They've never fished before. They've never had a s'more before. They've never sat around a campfire before. And as somebody who just really loves camping, I mean, I grew up running a campground, camping. My husband and I do it with our own children. We know how restorative and connective it can be when you push away all the outside. And I mean, as an adoptive mom yourself, you know that, I mean, for us in our home, our biological children have always kind of shifted to the side, while we focus on a new child that comes into our home. And even our 2 initial, like first adopted children, were moved to the side when we'd have foster kids come in and that kind of thing. But when we're camping, our focus can shift back to all of them at the same time. And it's not a one or the other, it's at all of you. And it's just really lovely to watch that shift happen for families and to have them see the shift happen, even if it's just for like 3 days, it gives them, our goal is to have it give them hope that they can continue to keep going. We just recently had our once a year fundraiser. We do a benefit auction this is the second time. And we had a family come up from Indiana that stayed with us a couple of times. And she said, her words, not mine, but it's exactly what I was hoping for out of the people that stay with us, is she was like, this organization truly is exactly what its name says. They gave us hope to continue to keep going when we unexpectedly added 2 children into our family that were not biologically ours, and had teenage children, and now we have younger children, and all of this like meshed around. And she said, and when we sat around the campfire with all of our kids, we looked at each other and we said, I guess we can do this. And so she goes, it just gave us the hope to say, we can keep going, we can keep moving on. And that is entirely why we were named Give Hope, because we want to give people hope that are walking a road that most won't choose, but they did. And we want to be the big round of applause that stands behind them and says, you're doing a good job, even though it's really hard, because we walk through really hard. And I'm sure we'll continue to walk through really hard. And it comes and goes and changes. And so what I heard was you said when you put in a fire pit behind your house and when you're all around it, and then that's where it all froze.
Okay. So I was just saying that how everybody in our family likes to gather around that fire pit. And I was thinking about the families of the stories that you're telling. And in those circumstances, when you can get away from all the hectic stuff of life, right? And you're with the people you care most about in that circle. I think that's why it's such a healing and gives people hope, because you realize the people you love are the important ones are right with you. And why you're willing to keep doing the hard, right? Because you love the ones that are.
Yeah. And just because it's hard doesn't like take away your love for them or your desire to like drive and keep pushing and keep making things work and keep trying and all of that. But it gives you a moment, a glimpse of an opportunity to say, we're going to be okay.
Yeah.
You know,
Or just a breath, right?
yeah. Yeah. So that's really our goal, is to give people that breath of like fresh air and that kind of a thing. So none of our campers have TVs in it. And that's always something that people are like, why isn't there a TV in here? I said, because I want you to spend time with your kids. The goal is to spend time with your family, your children. Go play with them. Don't watch TV. Like, you can do that at home.
Yeah. Why are you camping if you want to watch TV? Because you're camping. Right. Yeah. Bring board games and stuff. That's what we would always take. So if you want to play a game out on the table.
Yeah.
Well, you're doing amazing work, and we appreciate you taking the time to talk to us. Usually I like to end with saying you did international adoption, but is there anything that you would suggest or information you would like to give an adoptive family that you would have found helpful going through your process? And then give us all your information about your like contact information.
Where can people find you?
Yeah.
All that stuff.
Sure. So I would say my tip for people that are pursuing adoption is to decide if you're wanting a child or a baby, or are you wanting a family? Because there's a big difference between the two. And there's a lot of people, a lot of children that are just as worthy of adoption that didn't come in a little bundle, and that are really just waiting for families. And I think that is one thing that my husband and I have always it was a choice to not move into infant adoption. We had 4 biological children. And that was something the Holy Spirit said to me was, you had 4 of your own. Let somebody else have a chance to have a baby that didn't have a baby before. But there's so many children that are literally just waiting for families to step into their life that will say, yep. Basically, your age is good enough for me. And that's good. And so and move into groups and support groups that are helpful. There's so many that are popping up. I know here when we started Give Hope, there wasn't very many. It was us and like 2 other places that I knew of that were doing foster adoptive care and support. And now in my area, there's several. I love working with my network of people. And I know that that's sometimes rare in some areas, but find what you can find to have it be supportive for your needs where you're currently walking through. And so a lot of that requires you to put your pride aside and actually ask for help. And so that's something that I would say, if you're moving into adoption, you kind of have to lay your pride at the door.
You totally do.
Ask for some help. I was talking with a family the other day. I was like, I know you guys are campers. Did you fill out a request to get a certificate or anything? That she goes, oh no, we don't need it. I was like, it's not about a financial need. It's about allowing you to go and do something. And I know you can go do it because you can financially afford to go do it, but let us love on you in this way. And she was like, I don't know that I could do that. And I was like, stop being prideful. Let me send you a certificate, for heaven's sake. And she goes, oh no. And I was like, no, but let me just send you the link. You can get a certificate because we have extra certificates currently. And so it's just one of those things, like, stop being prideful and just say thank you. That's literally all you need to do. Just say thank you.
Sometimes that's really hard to do, though.
Yeah.
It is. And it's something I had to learn through the whole adoption process, is just to say thank you and to give thanks to my Heavenly Father for every good gift he gave, whether it came when we were in the fundraising process, whether it came in the form of $5 or it came in the form of a lot of dollars, to give thanks and appreciation for anything that has come in. And it truly has been the same thing here doing Give Hope. And truly one of my favorite biblical events is the feeding of the 5,000, because I feel like every morning I set my feet on the ground and I say, Lord, I only have so much time, so much effort, and so much energy to manage things. Make it way more than I could abundantly ask or imagine. Feed my people. And it's not always physically feeding by any means. We got plenty of food in our house, but it is give me the ability to take what I have and make it so much more that I could ever ask or imagine. I work currently about 2 5 to 6 hour days in my Give Hope office. It could be a 40-hour-a-week job, but I don't have it at this season of life. It's not a high paying gig, nonprofit work. And so financially, I still need to work both of my other jobs because they're flexible enough to work around our family. So it's not something I can let go. So I ask that the Lord continues to multiply my efforts in the doors that he wants to open. So that would be my tip for families that are adopting. Just say thank you and move into the spaces that they're not always comfortable. So
and ask for help too.
Ask for help. Okay. Absolutely. Ask for help for sure. Yeah. And then to find me, if you really feel like you need to come find me, there is Instagram is just M Tubergen, my last name, which is a little tricky for some people to spell, but it's MTUBERGEN. It is a private one, but if you want to find me publicly, you could do Give Hope RV. And that is our page for Facebook, Instagram, internet, givehoperv.com. There you go.
Yeah, I found you on Instagram. That's how I found you. I was glad I came across all your information. So
was it Rod's Heroes? Was it that podcast with them or something different?
I don't remember. Now I'm gonna have to go back and figure it out. Sure. But I was messaging on Instagram, so
yeah.
Right. Maybe I did see you on the podcast. I don't know. I search for people all over, so I'm on like TikTok, Instagram, just reading people's stories and messaging to see if they'd like to share. Ones that have created businesses based on their adoptions. My mom is actually the founder of the agency, this agency, and she's adopted 8 out of 10 kids.
Wow.
So I'm the oldest biological, and then there's one below me, and then my youngest sibling is 23.
I think so, 20.
So, I mean, younger than my children.
Sure.
So it's and then I've adopted 4, and I have sisters. All of my sisters that are married have adopted also. So it's kind of a family thing over here. So
it's really cool.
Yeah, but we love it. So we'll keep talking about it. But thank you for coming on and sharing your story and what you're doing for the adoption community.
It is amazing.
Yeah, it is amazing. And hopefully we can get you more people to take advantage of that.
Any listeners have a campground that we're willing to have us put a seasonal keeper at? We are searching. It does not have to be in Michigan, but we are searching for an open campground that was willing to just love on people in a very tangible way. We are very accommodating to what our campgrounds require as well. So
that's good. Yeah, that's a good selling. Yeah, do that. Yeah. I was just thinking you more people, but you really don't need. You have tons, but
I need more hosting locations, so that's what I need.
Okay, I'm going to have her close us out, and thanks again for being on. I truly appreciate it.
Thank you so much for having me.
Yeah, thank you so much, and we will be sure to put all your info down below. Everybody, please check her out. She's doing such amazing work, and we love her for that and love her for sharing her story. And if anybody out there has any questions or wants to know more about adoption, you can visit our website at www.actofloveadoptions.com.